if you're watching this, you should probably go to geekbinge.com and check out the post that this video came from. Because if you're interested in learning what the best year in gaming is, you actually have a say in it. You can go vote right now. Go to geekbinge.com and click on this article and vote. I wanna hear what you guys have to say because I feel like this is a question that does not have an answer. And even though I have an opinion, that does not make me right. So I wanna get the consensus from the internet, from people who really care about this stuff, because it seems that I don't know. It kind of just seems that like the go-to answer for the best year in video games, which is an intriguing question, is always 1998. And I wanted to kind of I don't know sort of challenge that notion. And so we have 5 nominees. You can read through all the games that came out in 94, 97, 98, '04, and '07. Those are sort of the 5 years that we here at Geek Binge kind of just picked as being our favorites. So I personally, I'm Jared Russo. I'm the gaming editor for Geek Binge. I personally like 2004 the best out of all those years as being the most representative of the best year in gaming. Like, I don't really know if there's a golden age, and I think it's arguable that people, would get into, oh, what's the golden age of gaming, and is it now? Is it in the early 2000s? Is it the 90s? Is it the 80s? I don't know. I don't proclaim to have the answer to that question. I don't think anybody. I don't really think that's a cut in stone, black and white, dry thing to state. But I feel like for me, this is again a little opinionated, it's a little biased because '04 really was like that was like my gaming year. That was like my personal like okay, I now understand that games can be much more than than a fun little thing at the arcade, and it can be just more than just like it really started to open my my mind, expand my horizons to what a game could be. And when you look at that year, it was right around, I would say, I think 2004 is like the peak year for the PS2, which is arguably the greatest console ever. It's the best selling. Everybody loves the PS2. It had like the best games. It was a console for everybody. And I feel like '04 was just like the perfect year for that console. And it also had the flagship Xbox game. It had a really great set of GameCube games. It was also the year that I feel like PC finally just went like, you know what? Like we've been overtaken a little bit by these consoles. I think now it's time to show off that PC Master Race. Oh my God, I remember back then PC Master Race. Like that was the year where PC really came back with a vengeance, and you even had great handheld games. The DS launched that year, so like that was just like such a pivotal year for the industry, and it really was just like a collection of a lot of quantity and a lot of quality, in terms of what games came out. So I'll look at this fancy handy dandy list I wrote for myself. For me, you also had like just a bulk of games that came out towards the end of 2004 that really epitomizes certain genres in gaming. Like if you want the best racing game, you'd have to go to '04. I feel like Burnout 3 Takedown is the best racing game to come out in the last 10 years. I don't think it's been matched since. I really do think that Burnout 3 is like the end-all be-all racing game. And I know that if you're into Mario Kart or if you're into simulation games, that's fine, but I really do think that like Burnout 3 was just more than a great racing game. It was just a fantastic game, and I really did help kind of like get people back into racing games, which has really been kind of somewhat absent this generation, the 360 generation. If you were into RPGs, you had a tons to pick from. You had Tales of Symphonia as your JRPG. You had Fable as your Western RPG. You had Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is arguably the best Pokemon games, one could say. And you also had Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, still all-time favorite RPG, probably top 3 favorite games ever. And yeah, that was it was back in the day when like RPGs were still like a thing. They were still very prominent. And then you flip to the PC side of it. You had Final Fantasy XI, and you had World of Warcraft, like the most well-known and celebrated MMO in the last 10 years. If that didn't bring back MMOs and change the game, I don't know what did. I mean, I remember that game was a phenomenon. Uh, who's the editor in chief of Game Informer? Andy Reiner. Didn't he put it in like his top 10 games every single year? Every time you do a list, he just put World of Warcraft number one. Like that game still, people still play that game to death. Um, and then you have a time when you had movie-based tie-in games that were really great, like Escape from Butcher Bay, Chronicles of Riddick, and you had Spider-Man 2, which people love to death. And then you just had just you had just a complete crazy string of games that came out like right around the same time. The Sims 2, get your PC fix. Katamari Damacy, I love that game to death. Counter Strike Source, and then you had like the PS2 with Killzone, Ratchet and Clank 3, Jack 3. Like that is Sly 2. Oh my god, that's like platforming at its best right there. Metroid Prime 2 on the GameCube. Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid 3, people love that. You had Madden competing with ESPN 2K5 that had two NFL games. Like, you remember that, guys? That was a time. You have horror games. You have Doom 3. You have Silent Hill 4. You had the best Metal Slug game, Metal Slug 3, come out for consoles. City of Heroes, if you're into that. Painkiller. I remember people really liking Painkiller. Unreal Tournament 2004. Battlefield Vietnam, Rainbow Six 3, if you're into shooters. You had Twin Snakes on the GameCube. I feel like that's the remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. Ninja Gaiden, if you like difficult games. Metroid Zero Mission, if you're still back into the GBA. And also, I mean, I kind of left the best for last. San Andreas, I think, is the best GTA game. Best open world game. I don't feel like that's been matched. That really was. It's like the high point for the Grand Theft Auto series, in my mind. Rome Total War, if you're into strategy, Rome Total War, that's it, man. Halo 2, I still think that again, that's like, it's so hard for me. Like Halo 2 is one of the greatest multiplayer games ever and one of the greatest first-person shooters. I'm playing Titanfall now, and there's so many things that Halo 2 like did and revolutionized and invented and just like set the bar. And I'm shocked that like Titanfall doesn't have as many features and intricacies as Halo 2. And then you had Half-Life 2, arguably the greatest game ever made. The Spike VGAs had it as like the best game of the decade. Like that was a monumental achievement, not just for the industry but for game design and for Valve. I mean, people are still copying Half-Life 2. We're still clamoring for a sequel to that game. '04 really was just one of the. I think it is the best year in gaming, and it's hard to argue that it wasn't one of the best. I mean, sure, Sonic Heroes, Hitman Contracts, like, you still had those B-level games that you could still play while you were waiting for Half-Life to come out. That was that whole delayed thing with the hacking. But yeah, I mean, it again, this is a hard thing to pin down. It's an argument that will go on for the rest of time. I mean, you could argue that something like last year, which had just an insane amount of games coming out on mobile, and they were free to play in consoles, and I mean everything. You could say that. I mean, we're in the peak year, in the golden year right now. Or you can say it was back in the day when everything was everything had to be good, or else it wouldn't sell. You just had like SNES games and Genesis and stuff. I mean, I know people who think that's the best year ever. So there you go. So go to geekbench.com, go vote. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Jared Russo. You can follow me on Twitter at Jared Russo. We have a podcast that we do on Geek Binge about games called Screen Bites with a Y. And what else? We got a live stream, twitch.tv/geekbinge. We are live streaming 2 to 3 times per week, all sorts of stuff. Console, PC, hopefully mobile soon. Gonna play a lot of threes. And that is about it. So thank you for watching. We will see you next time.